All right. What's up, everybody? I think we're live. We had some technical difficulties right when Lane said we're going to go live. My camera shut down and died, literally right when he said it. So sorry about the delay there. Had to switch to webcam on the computer, so probably not as good a quality. I will look a little bit worse than normal, which is not saying much. But Hunter, Blain, man, how you doing?
Doing good, man. And yeah, I had the same thing happen on Friendsgiving. I guess we were
Yep.
going for so long that my camera, which is plugged directly to my computer and shouldn't have gone on battery, actually died. So gotta
Yep.
love technology.
I know it's supposed to make our life easier, and normally does not. But I think that's what just happened to mine too. I think it was switching to battery and saying it was low, even though it was plugged in. So who knows?
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, welcome everybody. It's great to. I guess we're not seeing you, but it's great for you to see us. We love that, and we can share some goodies with you. We've both been working in the writing cave a ton. I know Hunter has for sure, and so you've got little baby hands.
What are you talking about?
But why don't you tell us what you have going on, man? You've got a release coming up here, and well, direct sales, direct on the website. It'll be here on the 20th, right?
20th. And then
All right, man.
Amazon
Tell
and
us.
Kindle will be the 31st. So yeah, we have Fall from Grace coming out, which is book 9 out of 13 of the Preternatural Chronicles. And we're setting up the end game for sure. Because what I plan on doing is making the final 3 a trilogy, like a nice epic trilogy. And my alpha readers have already commented that this one's very lively, good pacing, and you could definitely tell it's setting up for the final books in the series. So I had a lot of fun writing this one. It was hard, and I think one reason it is hard is maybe you can comment on it, but I added it up. I have about 700,000 or 800,000 words written down now, and I have to remember basically every single word and verify that any Easter eggs are covered or breadcrumbs or any continuity issues are rectified as well. Thank goodness for my editor. She always catches something like that. So no, this one's a lot of fun. For sure. Less sci-fi than the last one. No black holes or time travel stuff. This one is just a straight up choice. John has a
Mhm.
choice. He has to make fairy above, hell below, and he has to make a choice between two people that he cares for. So I had a lot of fun with this one. Different points of view in the chapters as well, and
That's cool.
yeah, it's available for pre-order. Um, if you guys go direct through Argento, you can get it early on the 20th,
Yeah.
and then after that, it's Amazon on the 31st, and it will be on Kindle, limited in Kindle, just like
Yep.
before. Um, and we're also anticipating May for the audiobook.
Nice. Nice. So one of the things that's really cool, and I just want to backtrack on, we can talk about the writing aspect that you were just saying too, but on the availability. So what we're doing, if you missed the last live or you're not sure what we're talking about, is we set it up on our website on argentobookstore.com. And Lane can clarify if that's not right, and he can probably put it up here in the comments or in the banner, the Chiron. But you will be able to buy books from Argento authors earlier. So you basically get early access. You still get the Mobi file. Everything's the same, and you can read it through your Kindle app or your Kindle or a book funnel app. There's multiple different ways you can read it. I think you can even do it on your iPad and stuff. I haven't tested that one, but I think other people have, because we just did this with Cameron's most recent book. And so basically, we're trying to give our readers early access to the book. And then you can get it directly from Argento. I believe it's even discounted there. And then it's just basically a soft launch for the book where you get to get that early. And then if you wanted to wait and do things like you always have through Amazon, that's no problem at all. It'll go on Amazon. In this case, January 20th is when it's available on the Argento bookstore. And then on Amazon, it'll be January 31st. And so if you're a Kindle Unlimited reader, but you buy paperbacks, you buy it direct from Amazon, nothing changes. You just have to wait till January 31st. That's it. And so it's a really cool way to kind of, connect directly with the readers, and just kind of put the control back in the author's hands. and just find a way for you to connect directly with the authors too. So we thought it was a pretty cool thing to do. We're always trying to find ways to, engage directly with the readers in any way we can. And we thought this was a pretty neat thing. It worked out really well with Cameron's latest book. We're going to be doing it with all the books going forward. So if you want to do that and you want to support the authors directly, please give it a shot. Let us know if there's any hiccups. I think we've only had a handful with little technical issues, and they were resolved very, very quickly. I think that exact day or maybe that hour, I don't know. But I haven't heard of any kind of major issues with anybody. So it seems like a seamless way to do it. You get to read the book early, so that's pretty cool. And then on the official launch day on Amazon, we just still ask that you go in there and leave a review. If you're in Kindle Unlimited and you wanted to read it again or whatever, I don't know how that would work. I guess you just download it again. It's entirely up to you though. But we just ask that you leave a review. So, and then you'll be able to get your paperbacks and all the other stuff just like normal on that official launch day. So this is basically just early access is what it is. And then, I've got a launch coming up.
I think Blain also talked about we should have hardbacks sooner than later on the store, because Amazon now lets us get our author copies. Because before, we didn't get a discount on them, so it didn't make sense for us to buy at retail and then sell it back to the customer, to the readers, for an increased price, even if they are signed. So I think that's supposed to be coming down the pipeline. We talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Awesome. Yep, I know that was something they were working on. I wasn't sure if it had been finalized yet, but yeah, that was one of the frustrating things. Is we basically had to buy them at full price and then sell them to the reader at a much higher margin if we wanted to make any money. So it was just there was no point to doing it, unfortunately. And so I think a bunch of people complained, a bunch of authors complained about that aspect. And so that's resolved, hopefully. So we should be able to get those quick. And then I'm working on Dark Horse right now. And so just to kind of piggyback, since we're already talking about the direct sales thing, Dark Horse will be available on Argento Bookstore. It's Nate Temple's book 16. I can't even remember what number we're on now.
Yeah, I think it's
16. I think it's 16.
Nope. It is. And just so you guys know, the pre-order, you can go on to our site and pre-order both these books right now. And then on the 20th and the 28th, it'll hit your email and you can download it that day. So you can go to our site and pre-order it right now.
Awesome. Yep. Good clarification. I know you were working on that. I didn't know it was official yet. So you can pre-order it. So you can just order it right now. We ask that you do. That'd be awesome. That way Hunter knows how excited everyone is about his books. And so you can pre-order right now, and then it'll just show up in your email, I believe is how that works, on the launch day. So that's pretty cool. You can just wake up with a book ready to read. And so we're doing the same thing with mine. We've got Dark Horse, Nate's newest book, that'll go on Argento Bookstore on January 28th. And then it'll hit Amazon on February 8th. I almost said December 8th and would have scared the hell out of everybody. February 8th, so about a couple weeks later. So you should be able to see both of those on Amazon, I think right now as well, because you can pre-order there too, if that's your thing, or you can pre-order on our website. And so on Amazon, these books won't show in Kindle Unlimited yet, but on launch day, they will. So maybe even a couple days before launch day, it'll show up. Can't remember how the timing works, but we have to space it out a little bit differently. And so it won't show yet, but it will be in Kindle Unlimited. So don't worry if you don't see it in there right now. So that's exciting. But going back to the writing and just your story, Hunter, I definitely understand and sympathize with what you're saying about trying to write the story as fast as you maybe did in the past. Because when you have to go back through and basically read your stuff like an encyclopedia, checking for one certain scene or one certain event, or this character was injured and then you can't remember how you injured them, like were they stabbed with a sword or an axe or what was it? And you're like, it's such a dumb thing to worry about, but then you got to read the whole book or search and try to find what weapon hurt them or just little things. And they definitely they take more time than anything for me, because since we've got 3 interconnecting series on Templeverse, it's like 40 books now or something. So average of 90 to 100,000 words a book. So I think it's probably an average of 100. So it's 4 million words we got to go through, and hopefully search. And so when people are like, hey, why don't you do a wiki or a fan page or any of these things? I'm like, do you have any idea? I wouldn't be able to write. I'd have to spend a whole year trying to do that.
We
And
do
so
have
we
a wiki.
exactly. So that's what the delay has been. And Lane, you can jump in there and clarify. Everyone that's been involved with it, I think. Or at least
Yes,
some. I know a bunch of people have helped.
Yeah, a bunch of people have helped. Paige has been kind of spearheading all of that, and so it's live. I'll go ahead and post the. Oh, it looks like Paige is doing it right now. Is putting the links.
Awesome, thanks, Paige.
In there, but I will do the same thing just so it goes to everyone's page and all that kind of stuff. So you guys can go and check it out and go in there. Seriously, check it out. See if you want to add something. There's a lot of interactive stuff that you can do on it. It's really cool. So.
Yeah, it's super cool, and it'll get bigger with more people getting involved. It's just like Wikipedia, where everyone can involve and add, oh, this was my favorite scene, or here's one of my favorite quotes, or whatever. So please jump in there, go nuts, and let us know what you think. If we need to add anything, and Paige, I'm not sure, is she doing that for you as well, Hunter?
Maybe eventually. I think Lori was talking about doing it.
Okay,
I know a bunch of people mentioned it. I just didn't know if anyone jumped on it yet.
No, not yet. Then again, my books this would be book 9. Well, technically 10 if you count 3.5, which I do. But book 9 in the series. So, it's not as needed as, 40 books.
Still, they're big books though. And I wish I would have done it back then, you know what I mean? Rather than waiting. Because readers love getting in there and posting their own stuff, and it's just a really interactive way to do it. When I first started, I was bootstrapping this. I was doing it all by myself, so I didn't have the time or anything to step aside and write a fan page when I'm trying to write books for fans. So
I've already started on.
I was doing that.
I already started on book 10 yesterday. Actually, I don't even know what it's going to be called yet. And actually, I was talking to Lane yesterday. While I was sick. That's funny. Kind of makes sense now. But talking about coming up and seeing you in person and like sitting down and talking about book 10, because I have Scrivener. Actually, I have it open right here where you guys can't see it.
Yep. Can't see all the spoilers.
But I want to definitely set this one up, because this is going to be book 10. And then 11, 12, and 13 are going to be the connecting trilogy, kind of like part 1, part 2, part 3. So just really making sure that all the breadcrumbs are led to something, and all the anything I'd mentioned before is covered. This one was a whole lot of fun. That's for darn sure. It took me a long time though. Yeah, and I did a live video, or not a live video, but I posted about how exhausted I was after it was done. And the only reason I was really exhausted was I talked to my editor, and she says I need to have it by this date or a month later, because she's really good. So of course, much like Luke Daniels, they're getting more and more busy. So I was like, okay, no, we got to do it December 13th. Let's do that. I'll make that happen. And then December 13th came and went, and I'm like, oh man, this is the first deadline I'm actually going to miss. So I gave it to her 7 days later. But for that 7 days, it was every single day, 10, 12 hours, going to bed at 5 a.m, just going through everything. I had to re-listen to the whole book. Thank God for Elaine, though, because I do it in Word, and Word has a review feature that'll read the story back to you, and that's how I hear things, like repeated words and so forth. And I can also feel the motion in between paragraphs. If it jumps too much, there's a segue you got to put in. So he told me that I can make it go 1.5 speed instead of 1 speed. And I was like, he seriously saved me 3 or 4 days on that one alone.
Yes.
But that last week when I missed the deadline, because I knew, I wasn't going to release it if it's not what I wanted. I'm not going to release it just to release it. It's too important to me. But man, that 7 days, man, I was just, my brain hurt. Like my brain literally hurt. It felt strained, and I'd be talking to people like my wife or something, and then I would merge sentences or completely mispronounce words or jumble them like I was drunk or something. And I'm just like, oh my God. So for the last couple of weeks, Christmas break and all that stuff, I've just been really taking it easy, playing games, hanging out with friends, sleeping, letting my brain rest. And now I'm already back on book 10. I'm ready to rock and roll again.
There you go. Just need a little bit of a break. And I think everyone's different. There's a point where I hit that too, where it just kills me and drains me and I feel zapped. But if I push myself right past that point, I actually get like a second wind, and that's how I get into the mode where I need almost no sleep, a couple hours a night. Now I know that's not good long term, but I had to do that for quite a while when I was first starting, because I was just juggling a job and everything, and I didn't have time to do it. So I really had to force myself to push through that. And now it's harder. You've got kids, you've got family. You don't want to just lock yourself in your cave and write. But yeah, I think everyone's different, and I think I've talked to a couple authors, and I think some of them have been public about it, but they just said that they found 2021 very difficult to write as much as they wanted to, even though they're home, even though, a lot changed for people with lockdowns or, whatever country you're in, everyone's different. But just the general kind of stress, I guess, of the atmosphere of the world just made for a really hard time for some authors to be creative, because to be creative, your muse has to be, happy and full and, sated. And if you're always stressed out or anxious about, lockdowns or schools or whatever, it really drains and, pulls at you and makes it hard for you to, be happy and write a fun story and all that. So I noticed that a little bit. It was kind of hard for me to really get into the saddle. I had to kind of force myself to just kind of push past that. But it was difficult, and I've never had that happen before. And I don't know if you did, but it sounds like at least you pushed yourself pretty hard in December, at least.
Well, normally I do, 3 to 4 books a year, but 2021 was only 2 books. Well, technically, no, yeah, it was only 2 because, Those Wonderful Toys came out at the end of January, just like book 9 is. So book 7 came out at the same time a year ago. But book 8 was hard, Crack the Sky, because there's a lot of theoretical physics in there, time travel, black holes, that kind of thing. And I made it as scientifically, even theoretically accurate as possible. I could have just said they cast a spell and then they were back in time. But that's, I write books that I want to read. And I don't want to read that personally. So I actually like sci-fi. I like when Craig Allison's series, The Expeditionary Force with Skippy the beer can. I love that little thing. But all his stuff is theoretically appropriate, and it actually makes sense. And because of that, I wanted to do the same thing. So book 8 was hard because I had to do all this research and come up with a way of time travel that I fully and confident no one else has ever come up with that still holds water in terms of being accurate. And then this one was hard just because, especially that end, trying to get the due date in. But I don't know. I don't know why this one was as hard, but it was a labor of love, and I'm really happy with it. And both my editor and alpha readers, they say the same thing, that this is one of the best ones yet, and that you could really tell it's building up to the final end game. So it's even on its own, it's really good for it's not just a stepping stone. It's an entire story that I really love, because it is about John having to make one of the toughest choices he's ever had to make. And I love it. Consequences.
Yeah, I hear you. You always got to punish him and put him in situations where it's mutually exclusive, or one thing, if you want something good to happen, something bad has to happen too. And I always think that's fun, for us, not necessarily for the reader. But it does make it more, in a way, I think it makes it more enjoyable to them. It makes things more realistic and higher stakes. And I just think that's fun when I'm reading a book, that it's never an easy decision. And I think that's always super cool. Did you, when you were writing this one, does putting a deadline on yourself make it easier or harder?
So that's an interesting question. It definitely speeds up my pace. I'm less relaxed and more gung-ho about it. But this time, and I've admitted to my friends too, I don't mind doing it because it gives me something to shoot for rather than just whenever I'm done. So it does make me put it, it's already really important. It's already at the top, but I think for this time, friends wanted me to come out with them and stuff. And I was like, I can't, or they wanted me to play games with them. And I said, I'm sorry, man, I can't. I'll do it after 8, 9 o'clock, maybe if I get to a good stopping point, but no. So there's a lot of self-sacrifice. So I would say yes, but only because I'm really good at time management. And, if I have a timeline like that, and it, as my editor, she is getting busy. So it's just like with Luke Daniels, I can do it tomorrow or I can do it 6 months from now. You're like, oh crap.
Exactly.
Then,
Exactly.
it gives you some further motivation. So it works. I can work under any parameter, but, I will admit that it works.
It's better for me whenever I have a deadline. If I try to just wing it, I'll just I won't procrastinate, but I don't know. There's no sense of urgency. And I think my writing is better when I'm kind of under pressure. That always helps me.
During that 7 days, I was at 95,000 words. I was like, I'm done. Now I got to reread it. And then, every day I was telling my wife, okay, I should be done today. And she'd come in at 9, 10 o'clock. And she's like, are we going to watch anything? I'm like, I'm not done. She's like, you said you'd be done. I was like, I lied. And so one day I put in, I was like, okay, there's a scene missing. I really want to know what happens in between these 2 chapters of this one character. And it wound up being 2 extra chapters. So I wrote 10,000 words in one day on top of reading 70 pages or 80 pages or something like that. That was a hard day. But luckily, because I was listening to the entire story back, in a short time period, I was able to really make it flow and fill in the chapters that I wanted to fill in that gave more backstory that I know that the reader wants to see. So, but that deadline though, that was really crazy. Just writing 10,000 words and rereading 80 pages while making any of the changes that you needed to make during those pages.
Yeah. I think it's the urgency because, at a job, like a typical job, I've always been a procrastinator. So if I know something is due on the 1st, it's going to be the day before that I do it. I've always been that way. I never get it done early. That's not necessarily a good trait, but I've realized how to kind of hack myself.
I already know what you're going to say.
Into doing a better job. And so I give myself these deadlines, and I know everyone hates me for it because my editor literally curses the hell out of me every time I post a release date. And she's like, I haven't seen the book yet. What are you doing? And I'm like, well, you better do a quick job then, and I get it. It's not responsible of me to do that. But sometimes I have to just make myself do it because I'll justify, hey, I need to go do this in the yard, or I need to go whatever. I need to go work on cover stuff, or I need to talk to one of the authors, or I need to work on this project or that project or ads. And I'll just find something to do that's busy and it's not necessarily as productive as it could be. And so a lot of times I just have to bite the bullet and just give myself a deadline, even though everyone's going to yell at me for it. But that kind of gives me a sense of urgency where I'm like, crap, now all these people are mad. They're waiting on me. It's on me. I've got to do it now. And so for whatever reason, that helps me. So, and I think it honestly, whenever I'm on a deadline like that, it normally makes my story better because I'm trying to put in as much chaos as I can, and just make it really action packed because I'm in it. I'm not taking a break. I'm not stepping away and writing an hour at a time. I'm knuckling down. And so my head's in the story the whole time. And so I'm constantly in this state of tension for my main character. I'm in what he's going through. I'm just as mad as him, or just as excited, or, whatever it is. I'm in it, like a show, when you binge watch a show and you're just super invested. It's kind of like that. So it always helps me. But
yeah, someone just said that they appreciate how hard we work, and that, we have books that come out every couple months versus every 3 years. And I couldn't agree with that more. As you were just saying with binge watching shows, I don't know why they take so long to release them. Like Witcher 2 or Witcher season 2. We knew Witcher season 1 was so, you know what, I take it back. I guess 2020 kind of F things up. But
that was a big thing. Yeah.
I hate it when shows do that though, because every single time that happens, Amanda and I will be, starting the first episode and we'll be like, who the hell is that? What happened?
Yes.
What is he talking about? Yep. So you wait too long and I forget what happens.
Yeah. And so, you're absolutely right. And that's one reason, like you said, I didn't produce as much as I wanted to last year either, or maybe as much as I could have. So this year I'm really focused on trying, maybe not doing one every 8 weeks like I used to do. But I'm going to try as hard as I can to get a bunch done. I'd really like to have one a month. which is faster than every 8 weeks, but I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. I've been working on a couple different projects in the background. Shaded Devil and Shatter. I almost said the secret one. A new one that I'm working on the side, and then Callie's series, and then a project with another author. So I've been kind of doing a little bit in a lot of areas, and now I'm ready to just kind of knuckle down and flesh all those out. So I'm pretty excited for 2022. I really want to just see how much I can do, see what I can accomplish, and see what happens if I run as fast as possible. What's the worst that can happen? So that's my goal. I know I'll regret it 6 months from now when I'm comatose, but it sounds fun to me. It sounds exciting. I want to get back in the ring and start swinging again. So.
Yeah, no, I intentionally let my brain relax, and I played a game called Cyberpunk 2077 on my nice gaming PC. I'd never played it, and it was a good palate cleanser. So now I'm definitely ready to get writing again. There's good questions being asked in here.
I was going to say I saw one just pop up, but it flowed past again, so I missed it.
There we go. Let's see. Someone asked. For me, Janice asked, Hunter, will the future books be branch-off series that are connected to your current characters or something completely different? So much to Blain and Shayne's delight, I do plan on the spin-off series of the Preternatural Chronicles. Obviously, I'm not going to say who, because sometimes characters die, and I'll be sitting there writing, and they'll just die. And I'm like, well, crap. But it felt real at the time. It felt like real consequences to decisions that were made. So I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say what, but I do have plans after, and I'm very much setting up. If you're look at the clues, I'm really setting up the next series. And who knows, maybe I'll look at things that, like what Shayne's doing, and have other authors come in, and maybe Shayne wants to do a series.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's always fun. Well, it's fun and frustrating because you're trying to figure out how to use their tone, or at least marry your two voices together, because it can be jarring if it's totally different. There's always pros and cons to it. We've got a couple questions in here that are Blain is sharing with us, highlighting at least. So for Hunter, I'm getting ready to start your books. What can I expect as I dive in?
So the quick answer is Deadpool is a vampire. That's like the billboard. As you're driving down the road, it's like 2 seconds to see what a billboard says. So Deadpool is a vampire. The elevator pitch, a little bit longer, is a priest, a vampire, and the apocalypse walk into a bar. So that one's just a little bit longer. But you can actually go to my website, hunterblain.com. About halfway down on the main page, you can sign up for my newsletter, and you'll immediately get to download book 0.5, Deliverance, which talks about how the snarky anti-hero vampire John met Father Thomas Filseat. So, and why a vampire and a priest started working together to use his power for good to clean his blackened soul of all the 500 years of sin, and why a priest would want to work with the vampire and use his powers to help make the world a safer place and get rid of evil. So you can go to hunterblain.com, sign up for my newsletter, and you'll immediately get it. And for those of you who haven't signed up, as soon as my editor gets me back the book, I'm going to send out the prologue to my newsletter. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you do, because you're going to get the prologue before anyone else, and it really wets your whistle with what's to come in the next book.
And the prologue is the one that you said is in a different point of view from a different character.
Starting on book, I think it was 7, I started doing different chapters of different characters. So it's not just John, but I do intentionally make John's chapters twice as long, because I know people want to read about John. But so far, it's been pretty unanimous that people like to see points of view from Locke or Depweg. This one has a lot of Lily and Magni points of views. I try to only do like 3 different points of view. I try not to muddy the waters too much. And then, like I said, I keep the chapters with John twice the length, and really focus on him, because that's what the series is about. But the prologue is from Magni's point of view, and you get to see, and for those of you who read book 8, you know what it is. and what's coming. So it really lays out the framework, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I'm actually, it's the first time I'm trying something similar where I've got a prologue in my book. Anyone who's read the most recent Phantom Queen, you can tell that there's something big and convoluted and tricky that Cameron and I are doing, interweaving Nate and Quinn and Callie. And it's going to be a big mind fuck. It's going to be really fun, really cool. But on that note, I decided to, and we'll see if I stick with this. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see a prologue from a different character's perspective that will be pivotal to the story in the series. But you're gonna,
Hell yeah.
I think it was really interesting. I just started doing it for fun, but then I continued on with Nate's story. Obviously, this is just a prologue. It's not like an alternating thing that I do throughout the book. It's literally just the prologue. But it puts you in a couple scenes from this other character's point of view, and it's when Nate is doing something, so that you get to see kind of Nate, or at least the consequences of Nate's actions from someone else's point of view. And it's really cool. Like, it's really fun. It's really emotional. And then chapter 1 starts off with a bang, and it's nuts. And there's, Grimm scoping out a unicorn that he wants to bang. And it's pretty epic. And it starts off with just chaos and craziness and horsemen and all sorts of stuff. It's just nuts. And then it goes all the way through. And it's going to tie into a few things with Quinn's stuff that Cameron alluded to, and then his book Snakebite will directly tie to Dark Horse, and then in Callie's next book will definitely tie into this as too. So it's kind of like a big twisty moment where they all kind of cross streams, and we know how dangerous that can be. So, but it's really fun though. There's a lot of chaos. There's a ton of setups, a ton of characters that you probably haven't seen in a while. You get to see the elders in their hometown, and you get to see, Quran, Anubis. You get to see a whole bunch of people directly involved in this story. So this one's just nuts. It's really fun. I'm really excited for everyone to read it. I've written like 10,000 words so far today. I think that's where I stopped. And then after this, I'll be going right back into the chair and doing probably another 10 if I can before the end of the day. So my goal is to just knock out as much as possible to see how much I have to cut at the end. Because I probably got 30 or 40,000 words of fluff that I may or may not put in, just extra scenes and fun scenes and foreshadowing, stuff like that. So sometimes I do that where a section of the book that I write, I decide not to put in that book and I move it somewhere else. So I've got a bunch of that. I've got basically a whole book of that kind of stuff that I'd written at one point in the last 6 to 8 months to put into a Nate or a Callie. And so I just have to switch them up a little bit and see. So we've got Joey Bartolillo. He's asking when the Nate book is. It's going to be available on Argento Bookstore. It's Nate Temple's Dark Horse, book 16. It's available on January 28th on argentobookstore.com.
You can pre-order it right now.
You can pre-order right now. Yep. On argentobookstore.com. You can buy it right now. So it'll be delivered to you wirelessly. And it'll go live on Amazon on February 8th. You can also pre-order that already. So it will be in Kindle Unlimited. So you don't have to worry about missing anything. If you're a KU person, everything's going to be the same. You can still read it that way, but we give you the option to get early access to the book directly from our website. So good question. I know some people pop into these a little late. So, but I am interested to see, because at least in my books, they've always been first person. It's Nate, it's Callie, it's whoever. So it's going to be, I was hesitant to try to include anything that was a new character or a third person point of view. I've just always been hesitant on the reader's reaction to that, if it would snap them out of it. And so what I chose to do is not put it in the middle of the book where it might confuse people or throw them off. But it's as a prologue. And so we'll see what people think. I think they're really going to like it, just because of what I do in this prologue. It's epic. It's probably like 7,000 words. So, I might have to cut a lot of that down, but it's a big scene. And it's once people read more of the next couple books in the Templeverse, they're going to realize that we've been screwing with them quite a bit, and there's a lot of things that they missed or overlooked, and it's going to be fun to watch that nuclear explosion go off in their heads when they get a couple books down the road and see what we did. So
Ashley
really fun,
Meek
really
says,
exciting.
Ashley Meek says that she's pre-ordering both of our books on Argento right now. So thank you, Ashley. That's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You said that was at Ashley Meek. Yep. You should just put it on there. So I'm really excited about that. And then after that, I've already got, I think 50,000 words of Shaded Devil book 4. But I had a pull to go work on Nate. It's been way too long. Nate's kind of my spirit animal. And so I was writing Soren, and it just kept coming out like Nate, like his kind of temperament and stuff. And I was like, okay, I got to get this out of my system. I can't. Soren's not like Nate. He's quite a bit different actually. So I'm getting Nate out of the system. That'll be coming out soon, and then probably going straight to Shaded Devil, and then Callie, and then Nate, and I'll be hopping back and forth on a couple different projects. So, but the goal is to do quite a bit of stuff in the first 6 months. Try not to slack off. So Brian Lanadier has a really cool question. How do you celebrate after finishing a book, Hunter?
I usually take my wife out to like Texas Roadhouse or something, get a nice steak dinner. Sometimes we'll go a little fancier, but it's usually something, along those lines. And then I just choose a game on Steam and then play it. I think last book was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This book was Cyberpunk. I just play a long game and let myself just completely reset. But usually, after I finish, I go in and I say, I finished. And then me and the wife go out to eat within a couple of days. What about you?
I'm terrible at this. I know my wife's going to yell at me now because you are a good husband and I'm not, apparently. No, we haven't had the greatest luck with babysitting reliability yet. It's always been kind of difficult for us. We've got dogs and we've just got a lot going on. So it's hard to just put a babysitter there and say, hey, take care of this army of people. But we just moved her parents down from New York City. And so they're great at that. They know how to come over and take care of all the animals and everything. So that's good. And so we will probably be celebrating with dinners and dates and all that kind of stuff that I'm really excited about. But in the past, I don't celebrate whatsoever. I literally go right to the next thing. I might take a couple days off to decompress, but even when I commit to doing that, I normally just start writing again. Or I might try to read a book, but I get a couple chapters in and I'm like, this is trash. I can do better. And I'll just start writing again. There are some times that I can feel my muse needs something. So I might like watch a certain kind of movie or a certain show, like, Braveheart or 300 or whatever. Like I kind of have like a scratch that I want to itch. And so I typically might do something like that, but it's not necessarily to celebrate. It's because that's kind of the energy I want to bring into the next book or a certain scene or something like that. And so I kind of hit those things. But I personally don't care about celebrating. I think I need to. I think I need to kind of take a break and not work every now and then, because then I get burned out. But I don't ever let myself do that by default. So I think it's something I'm working on, is balance and hanging out with the kiddos and doing all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, look what Lane just highlighted. So there you go. Babysitter found.
No, Lane's busy. He I don't want to out anything, but
you can. It's cool.
Okay.
It was we just had our second kid in January, so we've got a newborn at the house. So I highlighted it because that's probably never going to happen. Maybe when they get older it'll be easier, but right now that's not going to happen. I've got my own babysitting to do.
Yep. No, I hear you, man. And so Lane just had a baby. I know. Second one. Yeah. So he worked really hard on that. For the last 9 months, it's been really tough on him. Just, putting in all that work. It was the longest 30 seconds ever. But it's the same for all of us. Don't worry. But I know Cameron is kind of in the same boat. I'd say a couple weeks something like that. I know he's posted
Yep.
it. That's why I'm sharing it. So we've got a lot of babies being made, and that's always exciting and frustrating and stressful. And so, so Lane
The
will not be
reason I
babysitting.
highlighted that is because there's a movie called 8 Seconds that stars a guy named Lane. So
Nice.
in college, they would call me 8 Seconds, and people
That's
would
awesome.
get the same thing you basically said, like 30 seconds. And it was like 8 seconds, and then not anybody got it, but I got the joke.
Maybe,
So
Well,
maybe that
speaking
was
of
one of your high school friends trolling you right now.
there we go.
those who are reading my series have known that Lane's character, Lane Hamilton, is in there in a few spots here and there. And in this one, he has a pretty big scene that's really awesome.
Nice.
So, yeah, you guys get to see Lane Hamilton in action.
That's awesome. I've got a scene written, and I'm trying to figure out what books to put it in, because it would work in any of them, just as a really funny scene. But there's occasionally some people, side characters, that are shouting John on, and they're dressed in like the typical clothes, and like, whatever it is, they're wearing the right hat, and then they always get brutally murdered, like in some freak accident, and it just keeps happening, and the main character's like, what the hell, who are these guys? And so I keep wanting to put it in like Soren's books, because he's a vampire, and then I'm like, it's too on the nose, maybe I'll put it in Nate's book. So I've got the scenes written. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it in a way that's funny, but also leading people to want to read those books. So I'm trying to kind of balance both of those, because it's not just to troll. You also want to make it beneficial and be like, oh, that sounds really funny. Who are those guys? And so I've been working on that, trying to figure out where I'm going to sneak that in. But I think I might do it in both. Hell, I might just do it in Nate and Soren. That'd be kind of funny. So
I know I make a guest appearance, or John makes a guest appearance in Justin Leslie's books in one of his short stories. So that's really awesome. So I return the favor in kind on that one. And then my new one, I also make fun of both Justin and Luke at the same time. It's so great. And then I think even Jonathan Yanez mentioned me in his latest Hunters for Hire, which I thought was a funny kick.
Yeah, Yanez is awesome. I love that guy. And I even find sometimes where I just unintentionally start trolling myself. I think Justin's actually here. Yeah, just where I unintentionally troll myself, where I have some stupid character doing something really annoying or whatever that Nate or anyone can make fun of. And I'm like, oh man, I should just make that Shayne, or, like make fun of myself, make that me or something. And so I'm no one's safe, not even myself, from trolling and epic murders. So I always try to have fun with that. But so Angel Croston says, how do your significant others handle you shuttering yourselves in when you're burning through the midnight oil and focusing on your work?
So my wife is very understanding, and she is the most dedicated person I know. Like she has her main job, but she also does properties on the side with her dad, and she's working nonstop all the time, even when she's sick. Like she has a she shed outside, like a nice one, and she's always working. So she respects the grind for sure. And I used to be a district manager for Sears, and I was gone 3 out of every 4 weeks, because even though I live in Arlington, I had the Houston market, so I was gone literally 3 out of every 4 weeks. But she knew, that it's for a good reason, and it helped get us out of debt, and buy more rental properties and things like that. So because of she's a really good partner to have. Like when we got married, she laid out, we're paying this off, we're doing this, then we're doing this, here's the 5-year plan, here's the 10-year plan. And then she like made my credit score jump up into like the 800s and stuff. And I'm like, I love you. So I get to play in the short-term stuff. Like I make sure the monthly bills are paid, and like if I want to do a vacation, like a cruise or something, I cover that. But she covers all the long-term stuff, and we're a really good team. So to answer the question is, she understands, and she'll lead me to it.
Yep. Yeah, I would say the same. It's definitely, you have to have a good partner, a good teammate. And my wife is amazing at handling logistics for everything else in life, whether it's the kids or school or groceries, dinner, just any kind of scheduling event. She's amazing at that, just taking care of all the details. She's really good at multitasking. I'm not. I'm more like a laser. I just got to focus on one thing, and then I can turn that one thing off and focus my laser somewhere else, but I can't have 20 different things going on. Lane knows that. That's one reason I had to hire Lane, is because I couldn't do it where I was switching from ads to copy to this to that. I would have to do like a whole 20-day or 20-hour day of writing. And then the next day I would be like, okay, here's ads. And then I finish ads, and okay, here's this. And okay, I finish that. Here's this. It's really hard for me to just kind of let my foot off the brake. So it's really good that I have a partner that can juggle all that. And I had to earn her trust by showing her that what I'm doing is worthwhile. And so back when, I was first starting and I was making no money whatsoever, it was really hard to justify that and say, hey, look, I can't do XYZ because I got to write. And she's like, how much did you make last month? And I'm like, $3. And she's like, how long are we going to try this? How long is this going to go on? And I said, you're right. It's time for me to put up or shut up. And so that's when I just told myself, I can't look her in the eyes if I'm not going to work hard enough to make this dream come true. And so that's when I committed to just doing 20-hour days. And I was like, I've got a full-time job. I've got this. I don't deserve to get paid the money I want if I don't work harder here than I do at my job. And so if I'm putting in 8 hours a day at my job, I have to at least do 8 hours at home or at my writing business. And so that's when I just knuckled down. And anytime I hit an obstacle, I didn't say, okay, whose fault is it? What happened? What's wrong? I said, okay, that obstacle happened, no matter whose fault it is. How do I get past it or around it or over it? Or how do I improve it? And so it doesn't hit me as hard next time. And so I would really just kind of knuckle down and just say, okay, if I hit a roadblock, I'm just going to keep banging my head against it and find a new way to get around it or break through it. And I think that kind of headstrong, irrational determination kind of convinced her, like, okay, I mean, he's trying, he's doing it. He's not just phoning it in or making up a story or whatever. And so it later paid off, but she had to have faith in me. And then I'm, eternally grateful for that. So I don't think a lot of women would have put up with that kind of situation. So I'm very lucky. So behind every successful man is a much stronger woman. So a lot of times they're the ones that help prop us up. So
I hear that.
Or hold us up. So I think we're all lucky. But we've got some more questions coming in. And anyone who's coming in late, well, I don't know, Hunter, if you want to scroll through comments, but anyone that's coming in late, Hunter's got book 9 in his Preternatural Chronicles coming out January. I'm going to keep mixing up these dates here. Like I said, I can't multitask. January 20th is when it's available on argentobookstore.com, and you can pre-order right now. So you can just pre-order right now and have it delivered to you on January 20th. It'll also be on Amazon. You can pre-order on Amazon either way. You just have to wait longer. That'll be January 31st. If you're a Kindle Unlimited reader, it will be there on January 31st for you to do Kindle Unlimited. So nothing has to change for you. You just have the option to get it early if you want from argentobookstore.com. With my books, it's coming out January 28th on argentobookstore.com. You can pre-order it right now. And then February 8th, it'll be on Amazon. So you can pre-order there as well. But I don't know if you found a question or not. I'm just kind of scrolling through here.
Yeah, Carla asks, do your other halves read your books?
I can take that one first.
Go ahead.
My wife used to read them, and I think she got really far, but she had to eventually stop because it was a full-time job for her. And I was asking her to like balance all the stuff that I wasn't doing. And so it wasn't fair to like, okay, do all this other stuff. And then, oh yeah, you need to come work over here too. And so she just doesn't have a lot of time to read anything right now because, our family's always running around doing stuff. So she doesn't get to read as much as she wants of any kind. So no, she hasn't read any of the most recent things, but I do talk to her about the whole series and tell her what I'm planning and what's going on. And hey, what do you think of this? And she's really been helpful and kind of fine-tuned a lot of the cool twists and books and scenes and events that most readers typically say they're like their favorite scenes or whatever. Those are ones that her and I really hashed out and said, okay, what if we do this? What if we do that? Oh, wait, what if we hurt this person this way, or if we kill this person? And she's the one that normally makes those scenes more emotional or catastrophic or just more impacting. So she's definitely involved with me on that, but she hasn't read any of the most recent ones. What about you, man?
So she was like my beta reader in the beginning, and she read the first 3 books. And it's pretty funny. In the first book, I said gasp in surprise. I think like I did a control F on it or a search, and it was I forgot how many times it was, 80, 90 or something like that. It was a million. It was a ton. So because of her, I had to go back through and change 9 out of 10 of them. And now in the series, if you ever see he gasped in surprise and pain or something like that, I only allow myself like 1 or 2 a book just because I remember that. But after I got my editor, my current editor, Fabiola, who's amazing, she just handles everything now. And my wife reads more books like rental properties or how to pay off your mortgage in 5 years, buying land, going to auctions, things like that. So the more business minded related, especially around properties and investing. So that's what she mostly does. So she read the first 3, but after that she focuses on the long-term stuff.
Yeah. On the other half of the family, taking care of everything else. It's kind of the same here. Laura Ferguson said, Shayne, do you enjoy having your readers curse you after reading any of your books with the endings you have had? Yes, it makes me supremely happy. I don't like cliffhangers, in all seriousness. So what it could be a definition thing. I define them differently. Cliffhanger is literally when the end of the book doesn't have a conclusion and leaves you on that cliff. So what I typically try to do is have a conclusion, and then I introduce a new problem right at the end. And it might not be an immediate problem, but it's like, oh shit, like something else is going on. So like they beat the bad guy or whatever it is, but not all the way. Like they solved the main problem, but something that caused something worse to happen or something else to happen, or there's some consequence to it. And so I try to do that just because I think that's interesting, but only if I know I'm going to be writing pretty quickly, or if one of the next books in the universe are going to kind of pick up on that point or, clarify. I don't like doing it for shock value or anything like that. As a reader myself, it makes me annoyed. So I only do that if I try to, if I know I'm going to have something fairly soon come out, or if it just, sometimes the story demands it. Sometimes the story is just too big, and you can't have a happy ending, or at least a perfectly happy ending. And then in the beginning of the next book, you're like, oh yeah, remember when you thought it was all happy? Well, actually it wasn't. Because then it's like, well, wait a minute, that's not how the story ended. So I don't like doing that either. So it's a happy medium. It's hard to do.
No, I do the same thing. My readers know that I do a prologue and an epilogue, at least one epilogue on every book. Now, each of my books, the story is wrapped up, the story in terms of that book, but each epilogue is continuing the series and what's going to come next in the next book. So there's the series, which is like one full book, if you will. Everything will be wrapped up in a nice, neat bow that I like. And then each book, each of the smaller stories, which does build up on the series, is also finished, if you will, wrapped up in that series. There's only a few exceptions. I think book 5, I did wrap up that story, but it continued into book 7 or book 6. I mean, book 5 and book 6. But they were still each their own individual stories. But I like my cliffhangers, but it's more like setting up the series, and as it inches closer to the final climax. So yeah. So, and by the way, everyone was saying earlier that they definitely want to see you do the prologue thing, and I love them personally.
Oh, cool.
It gives off the perfect tone. Like, this is what you can expect. Get ready.
Yeah, the prologue that I have is going to end up being very traumatic, like in a cool way, but there's a reason I'm doing it. It's not just for shock value. Like, there's something monumental to kind of the series going forward and the title of the book and everything like that. It's setting a certain theme, and it's relevant to try not to spoil anything. If anyone's read the Phantom Queen Diaries books, they know that there's a lot going on, and it ended very abruptly with a big cliffhanger. That one was definitely a cliffhanger, and that's intentional because of what Cameron's working on right now, which coincides with Dark Horse. So we did all this knowingly. That definitely was an asshole cliffhanger, no doubt. I will not deny it, but it was intentional. And so Snakebite, Dark Horse, and then Callie's next book are all going to be very, maybe not intertwined, but very related. There's something tying them all directly to each other that's very important and very big for the big picture of the universe. So you'll see why we did it, and you'll be like, those sons of bitches. I can't believe they did that. And I think you'll really like it. When I told Cameron about my idea for it, he just almost shit himself. He's like, that is ridiculous. We should do that. So I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see what everyone thinks. But the prologue point of view, when I wrote it, it made me pretty emotional. And I don't typically get that response while I'm writing. So I think you guys are really going to like it. So, and a Nate Temple NFT. That's a great question, Casey. I've been looking into NFTs and how a book could do something like that, or covers or anything like that. So if you have any suggestions, advice, information, let me know. Hit me up, because I know a lot of other industries are using NFTs, or at least trying, and doesn't seem like a lot of industries are doing it great, but I know it is going to be something in the future. NFTs are basically just digital versions of assets. So it could be music, could be pictures, covers, maybe ebooks. I don't know. It's basically just a digital asset. And it is coming, whether we like it or not. So I'm definitely interested in talking to anyone who has any kind of specific knowledge or ideas on NFTs. I'm all ears. I'd love to talk to you. So maybe I'll do a post in the den or something on my page that you guys can, if you have any information or know anybody who's in the field, I'd love to talk to you about it. I know I've talked to Jonathan Yanez about it quite a bit. So
why am I not surprised that he's already
of course, he's always trying to.
Yeah,
he's always taking on new things that are just nuts. I love that guy.
That dude is a hard worker for sure. Kimbra says hi. Hi, Kimbra.
Hey, Kimbra. Well, she called me a goofball, so I take it back. NFT is a non-fungible token. It's basically a digital asset. You see a lot of people doing it with art right now. You'll see they've been in like Christie's auctions. A lot of these big auctions where they do typically like Mona Lisas and stuff like that. Now they're doing what's called an NFT, which is basically a digital piece of art. So my book covers would be a perfect NFT example if I sold them as NFTs. And what would happen is you then get to own the NFT, or maybe there's a limited number of those, and you can hold on to it as an asset, just like you would the Mona Lisa. It's kind of a strange new world, but it's going to be very important depending on how metaverse functions and all these virtual realities and stuff like that. Basically, you'd be able to bring that asset that you own, kind of like a car. You'd be able to bring this asset into your video game world. That's kind of the intent. So it's weird, crazy, I know. I'm trying to understand it myself.
So Michelle asked, which is your most favorite book that you have written? And she adds a U in favorite for some reason. That's kind of weird, but I'll allow it.
Your most favorite book. Oh, I get it. I thought you were talking about the word you. I was like, that makes sense.
Favorite.
Yeah, she's talking about the British spelling, the proper spelling. Mine, man, that's tough. I would say Legend or Wild Side, but there's so many scenes from different books that hit me in a different way. I'd say some of the stuff that's coming up in Dark Horse might trump those. It's pretty freaking epic. So I would say so far Legend and Wild Side. What about you, man?
I'm seeing people saying like she's UK and then she said I'm English. I'm like man, my sarcasm is just on another level. I mean, I understood that. I hope you guys know that. I like to mess. I like to go to your UK group every now and then like throw extra U's and words that don't belong. So it's I have a lot of fun with those guys. Good sense of humor. So exactly. To answer your question though, my favorite book, I guess, is probably book 3, Shadow of a Doubt, because that was book one, I'm Glad You're Dead, is the first book I ever wrote in earnest. Like it's the first thing I ever wrote in earnest. I do short stories every now and then, maybe like 3 in my entire life that were really short. But book one, I just hashed out. Took me about a year. Wrote it just for myself. Didn't plan on anyone ever reading it. And it's kind of obvious. I mean, I was actually going back and re-listening to the audio so I can catch things and then, make sure, like I said, the final trilogy, I'm going to make sure that everything is wrapped up nice and neat. So anything that I commented, I'm going to make sure is covered. But I was re-listening to it. I was like, hey, this is actually freaking good. I don't know what my problem was because, I was a little bit embarrassed about, my first book and didn't really know, I wanted to go back and change it. But if the artist needs to know when to put down the brush, but I actually like it, but it was written just for me. And then book 2 was written knowing people were going to read it. But book 3 is when the series starts taking off, and my editor, my beta readers, alpha readers, fans, myself, we all say that's when I found my voice. And I really, really like book 3 just because it sets off the series as a whole and the choices that are being made and consequences of those choices and what's coming and the stakes are more real. And it's almost twice the length of book 1 and 2, like combined. It's like, it's huge. I love that one a lot. And the audiobook is great too. Luke Daniels gives a fantastic performance. I swear in like 2 points, he was actually crying as he was reading because he's such a good actor. And so for me, it's book 3, Shadow of a Doubt, just because that was like the first thing I wrote. I was like, I re-listened to it. I was like, holy shit, I wrote that? Nice.
Yep. I think there's something to that. Mine's kind of book 3 as well, as when I started realizing my own voice instead of questioning myself so much. And I think it's just where you've kind of gotten the first 2 out of the way and you're like, okay, I'm really doing this. I'm really authoring. Like, what can I do? And then you start taking chances on what kind of scenes you can write and what kind of events you can have. And I think you start flexing a little bit, stretching a little bit. And I found that the most fun is when I got to book 3. Then I just started going crazy with all the storylines and stuff like that. And your confidence is there, I think, after book 3. So very
someone,
interesting.
I apologize if I'm saying this wrong. Jeannie? Man, the chat just updated. Kaiser?
Yeah, it keeps flying.
She says, "Oh, no ending, John on forever." And someone else mentioned that earlier as well, saying, asking, I think it was Michelle or anyway, they asked me. No, it was Ashley. It was Ashley asked how long the series is going to be. So it's going to be 13 books, and much to Shayne and Lane's dismay and y'all's, the readers, it's 13 books is what I have planned. I've had it planned since book 1. 13 was John's favorite number. And I assume everyone knows the story of John and why I wrote the books. But it was his favorite number, and it felt like a good place to end it on. So I've actually planned the whole series around the 13. And because of that, though, it's really helped. You're going to read the series more than once. That's for darn sure. And but I see the no, Michelle. That's funny. I appreciate you loving the series. But I do have plans afterwards. Now, is that going to involve, the main characters like John, Depweg and so forth? I know what's going to happen at the end of book 12 and at the end of book 13. So I'm not going to tell you, but it's going to end the way I want it to end. And I think it's going to be a perfect ending. And there's only a handful of people that know how it's going to end. Shayne is included. Very, very few. I've kept it very secret, of course, and no one has guessed it yet, which I also love. Someone came a little close a while back, but I steered them away, and they was just a little close. And when you have this much, that's actually going to be the surprise at the end. But it's going to end the way I want, and it's going to be the perfect ending. And I also think you guys are going to like the follow-up series as well. Actually, I don't think I know you will, but who's going to be in it? Who's going to live? Who's not going to live? What consequences are going to be wrought? Can the hero save the day? I guess we're going to have to find out.
Yeah, that's always fun too. But yeah, so I think we've been going about an hour, but I saw one more question. It said, Shayne, do you have any books that are planned that are not Templeverse or Soren? Definitely. I've got too many. But there's a couple that are ahead of the other ones. I've always wanted to do like a hardcore fantasy. I don't know if that's next on the list. That might be like a passion project I do in my spare time, because you really got to devote tons of time to something like that, understanding, horses and dialect of how they might talk, or making up a whole world with none of our rules. I mean, that's just a big thing, and I don't want to phone it in. So we'll see. I might do something like that. I've definitely got a couple storylines for that. I've actually got a book already done, and I think it's 250,000 words. So it definitely needs work and cutting. But that was actually the first thing I ever wrote. So definitely needs a lot of work, but it is a really cool world. I'll have to go back to it and see if it's salvageable or needs to be changed. But in the intermediate future, Nate is definitely going to take, Nate Callie and Templeverse is going to take up a ton of time. Shaded Devil, definitely. I've got a project that I'm working on with another author that we've kind of postponed a little bit, mainly because of me. I had to pump the brakes on a little bit. But then I've got some individual stuff that I'd like to move into, but I don't want to juggle too many projects at one time and kind of phone any of them in. I want to really commit to them and do, the proper service to the ones I'm already doing. So yeah, I've got tons of ideas, even got covers and all sorts of stuff ready for some of this stuff. But I'm just waiting a little bit till I get a little bit further. So, but plenty of other things on the horizon, no question. And I'm really excited to do those too. So, but I think to recap, and Hunter and I will probably jump in here throughout the night or tomorrow, next couple of days, and respond to any questions we missed. I know, at least I know I will. I always try to jump in there and do that, and just kind of comment. And if we didn't get to your question, then I can do it that way. But to sum everything up, I think it's on the bottom too. But Hunter's book 9 is coming out for Preternatural Chronicles on January 20th on argentobookstore.com. You can pre-order right now. It's Fall from Grace. And then it'll be available on Amazon on January 31st. You can also pre-order that already. It will be in Kindle Unlimited on January 31st. So if you don't see it in Kindle Unlimited yet, you just got to wait till that date and then it'll pop up. And then Dark Horse, which is Nate Temple 16, that will be available. I'm waiting for the Chiron to continue. January 28th on argentobookstore.com, and then February 8th on amazon.com. You can pre-order any of those right now on either website, but we do ask that you go to Argento Bookstore to do it because that cuts out the middleman. It's discounted, I believe, on our website, and you get early access, so it's the best option. But I think that about sums it up, man. Do you have anything else you want to mention? I know you're already working on book 10. If you want to end it on that.
Yeah, it's already
on the next thing.
I already started book 10 yesterday, but I'll because of Scrivener, as I was rereading book 9 or writing book 9, I knew what it was going to be about. So then I would put up little notes here and there. So I already have it outlined roughly. So already started working on that. And for those of you who do pre-order on Argento, if you do have Kindle Unlimited, I think you can still leave a review. I'm not sure how it works otherwise. So, those reviews or ratings really help us out. And, you guys are awesome for taking care of, especially, all of them, Goodreads, Audible, Amazon.
Yep.
Those are
anywhere you can review a book, please do it. That all helps. Even if it's just a short little sentence, like I really love this book, or John's my favorite, or whatever. Any kind of review helps. Doesn't have to be a book report, although those are great too, but it doesn't have to be. So any kind of review helps. So, and I think that's about it. I do see some more questions in here that I'll probably jump in on the comments and respond to, just because we'll be here forever if we don't. And I've already got kids creeping out there with the puppy. I can hear them whispering to each other in the background. So I need to jump off, but they're trying to be sneaky. I can hear them. So, but it was awesome talking to you, Hunter. I'm excited. Everyone, please go pre-order his book 9. It's on argentobookstore.com right now. And then Dark Horse is also there right now. So go ahead and pre-order both of those. They'll be delivered to you wirelessly to your email on the dates that I mentioned earlier.
And you get it early.
So 11
you don't days
have to wait.
For mine.
Yep. It's like a speakeasy. It's like a secret speakeasy that you get to go to that no one else gets to go to. So unless they want to give money, they can do it too. So, but awesome talking to you guys. And I hope, I know I'm getting back to writing. I don't know what you're doing, but I'll be playing with the kids and the puppies for a minute, and then I'll be going right back to the chair. So
bye guys.
All right. See ya.